Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Shoal Creek Showdown. This is where Todd and my name is Nick.
Adam dropped his phone.
We talk about
By the way,
stuff
Adam's here for our inaugural episode.
We talk about stuff.
We're just going to argue.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about other stuff that we might agree on, but
we should start with the teleportation argument, though.
If you want to start with that, go ahead.
That's the only big one I have.
Go ahead. Start with it.
Okay, let me. Adam is the neutral party who's never heard the argument.
Yeah.
Nick sides with what I call the emotional side, someone who's too attached to the whole emotional section of the argument. And I side with what I call the logic side, which simply states facts. Which is a bit misleading, but I can't think of a better way to describe it. Unless Nick wants to take a crack at it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so this scenario started in my AI class, Artificial Intelligence, in college, where we didn't talk about like AI for games, it was more of like machine learning and stuff like that. And the question came up, could a machine that is artificially intelligent eventually have what we know as a soul? That led to, what is a soul? Do we have souls? What describes it? Blah, 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 blah. That's a different conversation. Only parts of it will be used for this argument. The scenario our teacher gave us, which I thought was really fun, is suppose in the future there's a teleportation device, and you want to teleport from point A to point B. What happens is you step into the pod at point A, it scans your body to the...
Sorry.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Go ahead. I'm bored. Sorry.
Nick is distracting me, but it scans your body down to the molecular level, like every individual thing. Every molecule, every particle, everything.
Are you listening, Adam?
And...
Yes.
Okay.
It then breaks you down into a mass of those particles and beams you across space to point B, which could be like 5 feet away or 5 light years away, who knows. Light years is distant, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a misleading name, because the years.
Yeah.
But, so, what happens is, your particles get beamed, and they arrive at point B, and then it reassembles you from the scan earlier. So you are exactly the same as you were a moment earlier at point A. Nothing has changed except your location in space. Your thoughts, your personality, everything. It just, for that specific second, like, however small period of time it is, which is, for the sake of the argument, is really quickly, like, less than a second, you are broken down and rebuilt. The question at the end of the scenario, of scenario 1, is... are you still you? And before me and Nick go into this, I'll let Adam see what he thinks. There is no right answer. Just, are you still you?
This is purely subjective, so Adam, tell us what you think.
Let's see, so...
Feel free to ask questions.
Okay, so every individual atom that was broken down...
down to the very quark.
is... they're all accounted for in your new form.
Everything's the same. Even the air you breathed in is still there. Assuming you breathed in before you teleported.
I would have to say you're still you. Because a soul, that can have a material property to it.
Okay. And I will go ahead and say that Adam is on the side I am for case 1. There's 5 cases total. For case 1, Adam, you agree with me. I say you're still you. And I will go ahead and elaborate this since you mentioned it. I believe the soul isn't a physical thing. I believe it is a metaphor for culmination of your beliefs and your moral code and stuff. Everything in your head. What you
your
believe
mind.
is right. Your morals, your honor, that is your soul.
Yes.
It's your core of your person, but I think it's less of a physical thing. It's more of a amalgamation of different things in your head.
Before we move on to the next situation,
I want Nick to explain his side.
You're not the same person. The soul is not attached physically. In my opinion, the soul is not a physically bound entity. So, therefore, if you are physically deconstructed and reconstructed in a separate area, in a separate time, in a separate place, you lose the very essence of what you were before. And I disagree with Todd. This is something that you and I haven't talked about, Todd. Todd's definition of the soul, honor, blah, 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 blah. To me, a soul is what makes up one's inner... It's really hard to explain. Inner being, it's your capacity for emotion. It's your capacity to exist. It's your capacity to love.
Don't be racist against me because I'm ginger.
I'm sorry.
Technically, it has lots of souls.
But
Every freckle is a soul.
yeah,
Continue though.
that's my quick belief on that.
So in a way, they are material because
So therefore, if one is taken, deconstructed, and reconstructed, you lose your soul. Therefore, you're not the same person you were before you were transported.
And let's just preface this. Me and Nick have argued this for hours. Now,
Yes.
Down to every individual topic. And this is the base. This is the basic thing. Case one is the very base that the argument starts on. Because I vote with the logical. If it's the exact same, then it's the exact same. No two buts about it. He goes with the emotional. He's too attached to him as he was before teleporting that he thinks that if he was teleported, that he would no longer be him. And this also in the classroom sprung a conversation of what is a consciousness and what would happen to the consciousness if it was broken down and rebuilt. Would it be like a light switch turned off and back on, it's still the same, or would it be completely different?
But see, let me preface the rest of what we're going to talk about this subject. I don't think the entire podcast will take up this entire argument, but I just want to say that all of this is subjective.
It really is.
Our definition of
It's all theoretical.
yeah,
Nothing.
Your definition of a consciousness. That's why this can't be scientifically concluded upon
this has
because
to be a personal decision.
Exactly, like you said in class, y'all argued about what a conscious was. Nobody knows. Nobody can know. It's scientifically implausible to explain what a consciousness is.
And before I go to case two, I believe that I thought Adam would agree with me on at least case one because he tends to be very math focused, and math is a logical subject.
Absolutely,
I do approach
And-
things very logically.
And Nick's not like super emotional and like tearing, crying or anything all the time. He's just he
No.
lets emotions into his decision making process, and I don't. And I think that's where the main difference in our argument comes from.
Absolutely. But go ahead with
And,
situation two if you want.
Are you okay with me giving all these situations?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not
It's better you to explain it than
Well,
me.
I'm just making sure I'm not like trying to word it in a way that benefits my argument.
No, go ahead.
Hear me doing that, but
I'll defend it regardless.
So scenario two, Adam. Exact same scenario one, but one detail's different. When it breaks you down, between when it breaks you down and reconstructs you, instead of beaming your particles across space, because let's be real, that's a whole other scientific field that's impossible at the moment. It simply throws them all away, puts them in some bucket somewhere, and then at the point B, it takes a different bucket of the same particles, and it has laying around from other people who've been teleported or whatever. It could be from anything. They could have just grabbed them all from space. I don't know. Theoretically, let's just assume they have particles. They reconstruct you, still down to the very atom, to the very quark. The exact same you, exact same thoughts, exact same personality, exact same memories, exact same everything. Just out of particles that weren't originally yours. Yours are just somewhere back at point A, thrown off in the garbage or somewhere. Are you still you?
Wait, how did the other ones from the other bucket come?
That's not relevant. Pretend they exist. Pretend they're
He's
there.
gonna
Someone
get caught up in
copied
the
me
details.
and pasted me?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It deconstructs you after scanning you, takes what it deconstructed and just gets rid of it, and then rebuilds you the exact same as you were. Nothing is different about
It takes the information of how you're constructed and rebuilds you with different particles.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But in this hypothetical situation, you were still exactly the same as the first scenario, just the process is slightly
You're
different.
just technically being made up of... They're the same particles, but they're different particles. Does that make sense?
I feel like there have been shows about this, and there is indeed a difference between the original and then copies.
Well, in this hypothetical situation, the process is so perfect that you could not tell the difference. It is, for all intents and purposes, the same thing. Like, that's where my argument is. I believe that you are still you after the second argument, because the outcome is the same as the first. It's just the process in between the beginning and end is a little different.
But you exist somewhere else
No.
in particle form.
No.
No.
That's not what he's saying.
Look. Pretend this is you. This is broken down into particles.
Okay.
What originally made this up is gone. Then I take a bucket of new particles and I say, look, it's Adam. Exact same as he was down to the.
But where did these new particles come from?
It's matter, Adam. They exist in
Adam,
space.
Is this alchemy?
Adam, this is a hypothetical situation.
Are people transmuting this?
Adam, this is hypothetical. It doesn't matter where they come from. The question is, are you still you after this?
How did I know he would get confused?
Don't get caught up on this, Adam. Just think. Are you still you after this?
No!
Why not?
Because my particles are over there somewhere!
But you still think like you still talk like you. You still
But it's
have
not
the same,
me,
You have
it's
the
someone
exact
else.
same memories.
See, okay, look, you're arguing, Adam, that there are different particles, that you're a different you.
Yes.
I'm arguing that emotionally, on a different ethereal level, I guess you could say,
Am I aware of this?
You are not you.
You're not aware of the process that takes place. For you, you blinked and you're somewhere else.
Okay.
Your memories, everything is the exact same in your head. Because memories are just, what's the word?
Impulses.
Impulses from...
Electrical impulses between neurons.
Neurons, that's what I was thinking of. So they can be recreated with particles in this theoretical, hypothetical world. So you are you down to every memory, every childhood thought. It's just to you blinked and you're somewhere else, but in reality, your particles are completely new ones now. But everything is the exact same. If you had a scar on your arm, you still have a scar on your arm, etc., etc.
That's like saying this bar of steel is this bar of steel.
Just the question
Basically.
is, are you still you at the end of case 2?
No.
And why?
It's just something that looks like me.
See,
But
I would
isn't.
argue you are still you, because for all intents and purposes, nothing has changed but your location.
But see, this is what Todd is saying, and this is where I differ. I agree with Adam, but my main argument is, okay, all your memories, your personality is the same. To me, the deconstruction and the reconstruction of you at a material subatomic level would alter something with your personality, because your personality and your memories are not an exactly
Physical.
they're not an exactly physically bound thing. Yeah. I mean, there's so much about the brain that we don't know in terms of personality, in terms of consciousness.
That's why this is a hypothetical where all this technology has been perfected where you can accurately break someone down.
See, I don't think that could ever be... I don't think that could ever exist.
That's the point of the hypothetical, though.
See, I don't think that could ever exist. Even hypothetically, I don't think that anywhere in the future there exists technology.
But the question isn't whether technology exists or not. It's if this process was as perfect as the hypothetical says, are you still you? And you say no.
Even if the technology that you're talking about existed, I do not think that you would have the same personality, the same memories, because there just comes to a point where science and technology cannot perfectly deconstruct, reconstruct, or mess with the makeup of our human psychosis.
You're missing the point here.
I think you... Okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that you have very valid points there.
Absolutely.
But for the sake of the argument, put those aside and pretend that...
See,
now, I'm not saying drop your argument. I'm saying put those specific points of this technology not being real to the side, because in this hypothetical, we're going to say that if everything was as perfect as described, and the only thing different is that your particles are just not used, new ones are, and you were rebuilt with the exact same personality and everything, would that at all change your answer?
No.
I'm guessing no, because the first answer is the same.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say. I'm sorry.
That's like
Adam.
taking apart a car and replacing it with new parts of the same model.
And saying it's the same car.
Because
like
those parts
completely disassemble it and reassemble it with different parts from all across.
If those same parts have the exact same wear and tear and the exact same everything about them, then yeah, and it's still that same car.
But it's made of different parts.
But they're the exact same for all intents and purposes. Nothing's different about
But
it.
one's been to California. Whereas one's been to Oregon.
But if they're the exact same and down to the molecular level...
See,
But
Adam's
not exactly the
Adam's
same.
getting to what I think I'm trying to say, but I can't necessarily
Because there is
explain.
no possible way for something to occupy the same space at once.
But you're not.
But
you
these
were
particles...
deconstructed for a brief period of time, even if
These
it's just a
particles
nanosecond.
did not occupy the same spot at the same time throughout their lifespan.
No.
So therefore, these particles are different.
They
in
are
a certain
different. That's
way.
the point of case 2. They are different particles. I'm not saying they're the same particles. I'm saying you are still you.
Yes, but if I'm made of completely different particles, then
Let me give my definition of what you as a person are. You are the culmination of the makeup of your physical body and your memories and experiences in your head. That is the most simplified version I can give. And if down to the molecular level they are rebuilt the exact same, then I say it's the same thing.
But see, that's I think where Adam and I disagree with you, Todd, is that is not how it works. It's not that simple. Okay, it's much more complicated.
We'll say we got me and Adam on case 1, and you and Adam on case 2.
Yes.
And
shall we move on to case 3?
I should preface this. Me and Nick disagree at every single case in the exact same way.
Pretty much.
So I'm the tiebreaker.
Case 3 took me a while to come to my own answer at, because at first I kind of agree with Nick, but I eventually came to the same answer that I gave for case 1 and 2. Case 3 is the extreme. Case 3 is scans you, breaks you down. No, case 3 is scans you, and prepares to rebuild you somewhere else. And then, right before it rebuilds you, the person working the teleporter shoots you in the head and disposes of the body. Like, burns it to ashes. And then you rebuild. Are you still you?
You're cloned, basically. And your original copy is killed.
Yes. The clone only has the memory of stepping in the teleporter, blinking, and being somewhere else. But other than that, it's the exact same as case 1 and 2.
I mean,
nothing changes.
Yeah, Todd's already told you, Adam, and audience, what I think.
Okay, so wait. My dead body is just thrown out. Nothing's used.
No, it's completely annihilated.
Okay.
Gone. You're killed, and then the body itself is just eradicated from the world.
And so something else from like a scan or a blueprint is composed.
They scan you before this. Like case 1 and 2, they scan you, and then they rebuild you somewhere else. The only difference this time is that they don't deconstruct you, they just outright kill you. This was the toughest in the classroom setting for anyone to
This
answer.
sounds exactly the same as the last one.
Well, the difference here is that you're not deconstructed, you're just shot in the head.
Yeah. So I would
I think is a pretty big difference.
I would again have to say that is not me being reconstructed.
Because that's what I said.
constructed.
And see, I
In
had
this
issues.
case.
But why, Adam? Why do you say that?
Because I've been destroyed.
What?
He's right, in a theoretical sense, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if you were
He was
talking
killed
literally
and
or what.
What replaces me is just some kind of construct that looks like me.
See, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't perfect. There's no way that it can perfectly copy who you were, especially at a subconscious, soulful level.
Yes.
And see, this is how my thought process went. I was like, well, no, that can't be me because I was physically murdered. But then I realized I was letting emotion into my decision-making process, and I was becoming attached to the idea of not being murdered. But then I came to the conclusion that, well, logically, if the teleported me is me in every sense of the word, and no other me exists, then that me is me. So I still vote with you are you in this situation. And it took me a while to come to that conclusion, but I think that is my conclusion. But this is the logic I think I used. If you take a file and you copy it to a folder and then delete the original file, to me that is still the same file. There is nothing different about that file other than its location.
And that would be awesome if you could make that analogous to a human being. But a human being is much more complicated than just a file.
In this hypothetical scenario, I think you can. We're assuming technology is perfected to the point where this is all possible.
And see,
And you just won't let go of that. And I'm not saying that's the core of your argument because it's not. I think
could
your
also
argument's
use
different.
that-
You're just using that as an example, which you didn't use this when we argued about this before. You
I
didn't
thought
use
about
a
this.
specific example.
You could also use that with
Suspension of disbelief. That's the phrase I was trying to think of.
copied document with the actual signature on it, and then the ones that have the copy of the signature on it. Because that is a noticeable difference between the real signature itself and the copied signature.
Well, I'm not talking about signed documents. I'm talking about just like any document. Like you take a picture and you move it to a folder and then delete the original picture, then that picture is the same in every way except for its location. It takes up the same amount of space. It's made up of the same bits, same pixels. If you put the two side by side, you would not be able to tell the difference. They're the exact same in every way. Just in different locations, and you delete the original, so that one is the only one, therefore it is the picture.
and my argument rests on the fact that if it were so simple, it's not.
Yeah. So does anything about your answer change? Because there's more cases. There's two more.
Yeah.
I'm still going with this different person.
Case 4 is the most radically different. Instead of teleportation, it scans you, it breaks you down, and it tosses your particles away, but then it rebuilds you in a virtual environment. Your mind and everything's still the same, and to you this virtual world is the real world. And you know you're in a virtual world, but everything feels physical, like you still feel everything. Like
So it's like the Matrix?
perfect. Sort of like the Matrix. But there's no real body for you to go back to. You're just in that computer now. Are you still, at the core, you?
I would say so, yeah. Because it's still you,
This is interesting.
just in a different environment.
It's nice to have a third
Because
person here.
it's like the first, like it's all your particles, or in this case, data,
Mm-hmm.
but you're in a different environment. So,
Yeah. And
I would
agree
have
with
to
you. I say
go
you're
with
still
that
you
one.
because your experiences and your memories are all still the same. You're just in a different environment now.
Yeah.
But Nick disagrees, so go ahead and give your side, Nick.
I disagree
so
because I don't think there is any way, even if quantum computers existed, even if computers computed data beyond, your normal binary code ones and zeros, which is a regular computer, and by definition a quantum computer is a computer that can compute and process beyond ones and zeros, beyond binary. Even if quantum computers existed, I don't believe there is any way that a computer can quantify a human's personality and a human soul in any type of virtual data, which therefore means that I do not believe that one could exist as one was in a virtual environment. And that's my argument.
Yeah. See, that's where me and Nick disagree most is I think our base disagreement comes down to the fact that
Nick,
he doesn't suspend his disbelief for the existence of this kind of technology.
No, absolutely.
I don't view it as possible, definitely not in our lifetimes. I believe it is a hypothetical situation where anything is possible, like a dream case scenario. Mm-hmm. That my answers will be my answers for all four.
See, I think the crux of this entire argument rests on our definitions of humanity, soul, consciousness, personality, and your definitions are much more simplified and much more
logical,
much more logical, and much more compact. Mine are much more abstract, much more emotional,
which
much
humans
more
are by
ethereal.
definition emotional creatures.
Yes.
Okay, case 5, which I don't even know if it's technically.
this is
case.
the tiebreaker because on the first one I agreed with Todd. 2 and 3.
No one's keeping score.
No one's keeping score.
This is case 5. I don't even know if I should call it case 5 because it's different. It's a different question entirely. It just has some same subject matter.
Yeah.
Case 5 is more to do with the existence of a soul. Case 5 is you exist, they scan you, they clone you, and there are now 2 of you. Is the clone of you still you?
No.
I say yes. It's just it's a different you.
I think this
It's
goes
still
back
you.
to what I was saying in 3. It's different from me in particles. It's just copies of my particles.
See, the way I view this is the same as the file copying. If I have 2 copies of the identical file, they're still that file. They're just both in different locations at the same time.
Yes,
And
but
there's the whole definition of an object can't occupy 2 places at the exact same time. But logically, if there's no difference between 2 objects, like if I had a nail here and a nail here, they're both nails.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same nail, though.
True. But I didn't say it wasn't, the clone isn't the same me, it's just, it is me. The question isn't, is it the same you? It's, the specific question is worded, just have the teacher word it. Are you you? And is this clone you?
No.
because as you progress,
Now, I will say, I hate to interrupt, Adam. I will say, Todd, I agree with you. That is the same you. But that you is so different from you that it's technically not you.
Yeah, I see.
Does that make sense?
This is where me and Nick have the most common ground, is the 5th argument. Because the 5th argument I proposed to Nick to help us, not notice, but find exactly where our arguments differed. Because I kept coming up with scenarios. We only did 3 scenarios in the classroom setting. But I was trying to come up with more scenarios to help us find common ground and see where exactly we differed, and that's how we got on the emotional thinking versus logical thinking thing. But in this clone scenario, I would say the clone is still me. It's not the original me. But if something happened to the original me and then gone, that clone will be able to serve every purpose the original me could, down to the thoughts, memories, and everything else. So, for all intents and purposes, that clone is still me. That's my argument. I'm not saying it's the correct argument. There is no correct argument here. Completely hypothetical.
Yeah. And, I could see a counter argument to what I'm trying to say. Oh, Nick, you're just being very egotistic in terms of you think humanity is so special that you can't quantify what makes us human.
See, I think Nick actually has the majority. If the majority of people answer these questions, I think the majority would side with Nick.
But that's the crux of it. There is that would they be agreeing with me out of pure opinion-based thinking, or would they be agreeing with me out of the fact that they think that they're special because they're human? Does that make sense?
I think it comes down to how much people value their sense of self.
Absolutely. I think you're right. And how much they value being being a creature that has completely dominated nature.
Like, I admit, I don't want to
Not completely, but has dominated nature more so than any other species.
Like, I admit, I don't want to die. I don't want to be
Yeah.
completely gone from this world, and I don't want my consciousness to not exist. But if teleporting would make a complete new me that would not even know there was an older me in the first place and believed it to be the real me, and everything about it was the exact same for all intents and purposes for the rest of its life, then that would still be me. It just, I would... If I knew that was the process, I probably wouldn't step into that teleporter, because I'm not sure what happened, if my consciousness would just blank on and off, or if it would be sort of copied and deleted like that. Like, it's a complex subject.
These arguments have actually reminded me of a show that I watched where there's these people who have some kind of ability to them where they heal instantly after they die. And so, basically, the way to kind of destroy them is to cut their head off. And then...
It's got really dark.
Since your mind is basically where your thinking process comes from and all that, all your emotions, and if your body will grow a new head.
Okay.
So if you're still that head, then who's that other person growing a new head?
Is that the same person?
See, that's a scenario 6 right there. Well, that depends. That new one that is growing, is it still you? Like, does it have the same personality, thoughts, and everything? Or is it a new person with a new brain that's fresh and has no memories and no personality yet?
Like that guy on Men in Black.
I assume it starts from when you got your head cut off, but it could be fresh. I don't exactly know.
That one's so complicated, I really don't know how to answer that.
For it.
I think I would say that if the thoughts and experiences are different, then it's a different person.
Yes.
Like, if scenario 5 continued, and it was me and a clone, and we set off 2 separate parts of the world and lived our lives for 10 years, I would say then we are 2 different people. Because we have completely different experiences and have probably developed differences in our personalities at that point that we could be distinguishable. But, let me say this. I forgot what I was going to say.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Okay, I remember what I was going to say. Let me ask a question to you two that doesn't have to do with exactly with the cases. But if, let's just pretend for a moment, if the soul was a quantifiable object that resided somewhere in the body.
As an organ, maybe.
Where would it be? Where would it be? Where would the soul of the human body be?
The mind.
I agree. It would be in the mind. Some people, we had this question in class. Some people said the body. Some people said the heart. Some people said the mind. Some people said it would inhabit the entire body at once. There was a lot of answers.
A lot of people like to associate it with the heart.
I really don't know. My romantic guttural instinct says heart, but my scientifically emotional self says somewhere up in the mind.
I guess I should also specify throughout the sake of this whole argument that I am not religious at all, and I think that has a bit of an impact on some of my opinions on this argument, because the soul at heart is originally a religious thing.
A religious construct.
Yeah. I take it more as a modern-day metaphor for your beliefs and your morals. Whereas someone like Nick may still think it's still a spiritual thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that...
Whereas Adam and I are both religious. We both identify as Protestant Christians. And I do think that our opinions on most of these cases stem from that Christian-centric, Anglo-Christian-centric background that we inherit, The
question, honestly, in the classroom setting that started this whole scenario and everything was the base question: could a artificial intelligence, be robot, computer, whatever, could it eventually develop a soul? And I believe yes, because same as the other arguments. I mean, if If it is the same, it's the same. If it has morals and a sense of belief, then yeah, I'd call that a soul.
Wasn't there a movie with Robin Williams
I don't know movies, Adam, at all.
and a robot? He was a robot or a robot trying to become human.
I don't know.
Pinocchio.
I don't remember what the movie was.
Does
but
Pinocchio have a soul?
I think eventually he gained a soul.
So what are we taking this podcast to? An hour?
Well, I don't know. Probably ended at half an hour. You want to go an hour?
The original plan was an hour.
We can go to an hour.
You said you didn't want this to be the whole discussion, so is there something you wanted to talk about? Something we would disagree on?
Other than politics, which I don't want to get into politics.
I gotta go on your politics podcast sometime. I have.
You do. Well,
I have a lot of opinions, very little education on the matter. It's great.
I do have a political podcast. It's called The Moral Politician. So if you'd like to go check that out, go ahead. Warning.
SSP.
A lot
shameless self-promotion.
Yeah, I know. A lot of you may disagree with my
Satan,
opinions,
so.
but
It is Satan.
it's over there anyway.
Satan's political podcast. SPP.
Yes. It's
Oh
raining.
my God! Is that rain?
It's raining here in the studio. There goes Todd out the door.
I'm not going.
Wow, listen to the sound that's
Dude,
making.
we haven't. Let's be real here. Okay, this is.
That's
I'm not
really
going to
loud.
date it exactly. This is Alabama, and we have not had rain in this specific part of Alabama for weeks. At least not substantial. I'm hoping this is substantial.
For what?
There is so much dust in the air. It is crazy.
There was rain like last Friday.
Where were you
Driving back.
from? What location?
Or actually from Birmingham.
There was none in this area.
There was hail.
Not in this area.
I'm not going to get
In
into this
Springville.
argument.
You were here.
Where was I?
I don't know. Where were you last Friday?
Oh, it did rain here last Friday.
There was
But
hail.
was it substantial?
You were here. You were here.
It wasn't substantial though.
No, it wasn't really.
It was
Exactly.
raining like hell.
It wasn't substantial here. I admit there's been a few sprinkles here and there. There's never been a substantial drenching rain, which is what we need.
I almost got my car flipped by the wind and the rain.
You were in a different part of Alabama.
I was in Springville, which is like 15 minutes from here.
Yeah, and
You just gave away our location. Ah!
and we live about 20 minutes from here. So I just gave more details. I also increased the search radius,
Yeah,
so that's a pretty big difference of driving distance.
yeah.
So anyway, Nick, is there something you want to talk about? Or Adam, either one.
Yeah.
This was mostly my.
I really don't have anything.
We could talk about Nick and how he's a boober butt man.
Let's not talk about that,
What do you
please,
like
dear
in
God.
ladies, boobs and butts. What do
I'm
you
not.
like
I
in?
refuse.
don't think you
I
like in.
refuse to answer that question out of gentlemanly.
So there's technically three options here. There's boobs, there's butts, and then there's male butts. You might like male butts.
You might.
No, I can go ahead and tell you that I do not like male butts. No offense to anybody out there who does, but Nick Wilson does not.
Heard it here first, folks. Satan, not gay.
I really don't like the fact that they call me Satan.
I just love it because it annoys them.
I really don't like that. I'm afraid like I will be possessed by a demon here soon.
Me and you aren't already. Dun dun dun. You did go by the Dark Lord a lot.
He did.
And
I did.
It was your video game username for a while. I gave you that username because in the map game, he was the Dark Lord that would ruin our day.
I loved it so much.
That's where that name. If anyone wondering, the older Let's Plays, he's called the Dark Lord. That's where that nickname came from. Because in the map game, he would ruin us, and I'd call him the Dark Lord.
Did we ever explain why I was called the Dark Lord?
We just did.
I don't think we did, but back in those times.
I don't think so. I gave you that nickname because you would just ruin all of my plans. You were the Dark Lord I had to overcome somehow. But anyway, this discussion Nick doesn't want to have about boobs and butts. Me and Adam agree on boobs.
Yes,
Boobs are nice.
we do like boobs.
I'd wager Adam likes them more than I do.
I definitely do.
How do you know you like him more than another man?
Wait, what?
What?
You misheard the question.
We like boobs more.
I'm saying that
Or I
Adam
like
likes
boobs
boobs
more.
more than I like boobs.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I was like, where's this other man coming in?
No, no, you are the other man. How do you know you like something more than somebody else?
Because I like them a lot.
But he could like them a
I'm
lot.
not a very relationship and romance centric person. So
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, how do you know you like something more than somebody else likes something?
I'm saying he probably does.
That's a gut
knowing both of
feeling.
us. Like I don't like. I'm not saying looks have nothing to do with it. When if I was looking for like a girlfriend, it'd be more of a
Personality?
It'd be very video game centric. They gotta agree with me on a lot of video games because video games are a large part of my life. I'm going to be making them as a career. And that I need someone who also can enjoy them and hopefully give me feedback on them and just, be helpful for that. But, I mean, if they were better at me than video games, and if they could kick my butt at video games, that's extremely attractive.
That's a winner.
So, yeah, I'd say my personality to looks ratio would be like 70-30. Because looks are the intro. Usually, looks lead you into wanting to know more, and personality is what keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
That's how I view relationships.
Well, you pretty much, I mean, if you could nail it down to a science, I think that would pretty much be it.
Yeah.
A lot of people, though, they don't really care about looks, and it's the personality. So I think a lot of people would be more like 20-80, 20% looks, 80%.
That's a fair
personality.
margin of error.
Yeah, about a 10 to 15% margin.
Like,
of
I'm
error
not
on
saying
that.
I gotta date a supermodel or anything, nor will I. I am not the most attractive person. I need something.
Why do you think this is an audio podcast?
I need the video game aspect to be there. They have to have some. It doesn't have to be as big as mine, but there has to be some passion for video games in them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a big part of what I look for. But
I would have to agree with that.
Stop rain! Please keep raining.
I guess it wasn't as substantial as you thought it was.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
But
I mean, we got some more time to fill. I like hour-long podcasts. They're substantial.
we might have to conclude this one early because we do have to have a map game session.
Map game session.
And I mean, if we do take this to an hour, that'll put us starting at 4:15.
I guess we could cut it if we don't have any more.
I think we could try to cut it in maybe 10 more minutes.
Anything you want to talk about, Adam, since you're a special guest on this episode? Most of these episodes will just be me and Nick.
Adam's here for the premiere.
And to help us with the argument we already know our answers to, but we needed fresh input on.
Yeah. I don't know.
Adam, what's the difference in a soul and a consciousness?
I would have to say a consciousness is more like things that you see, and it's how you think you should respond to them. Whereas the soul is more of the emotional aspect of it.
Okay. Could a AI have a consciousness?
I'm sure they could.
Could an AI have a soul?
I think they could have something very similar to a human soul. So in their own way, they can have a soul.
Okay. Nick, any thoughts on either of those three questions?
Here's where it gets kind of tricky for me. I do believe that an AI could have a consciousness, because in my opinion,
That old movie where the computer sings Daisy Daisy as it gets turned off. What are you doing, Dave?
Yeah.
Now 9,000, that's it.
I love
Continue.
9,000.
I interrupted.
In my opinion, an AI can have a consciousness, but that doesn't necessarily mean that an AI can have a soul. I think they're completely mutually separate. A consciousness is basically self-awareness, in my opinion, that you are living, that you're a living thing. But now, living things don't necessarily have to have a soul. For instance, a lot of people don't believe that animals have souls. Regardless of what kind of animal they are.
I believe something has to be sentient to have a soul. I'm not saying every sentient being has a soul. I'm saying that's one of their requirements. Because, like I said, to me, a soul is a sense of their beliefs and morals.
No matter what, I think the only thing in existence in this universe that has a soul is humanity.
So you're saying if there's aliens out there, they won't have souls?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I think aliens would have souls. If they're sentient enough for space travel, then I think they're advanced enough to have a soul.
That's not what happened if the aliens that attacked Earth on Independence Day had souls, they wouldn't have killed millions of people.
Hitler was human, so Hitler was human by your definition, had a soul. That by your definition killed millions of people. Therefore, doesn't have a soul. Therefore,
but he's a human who kills humans. He didn't want to completely erase humanity as a species.
Well, Independence Day was a movie, not reality.
What?
Independence Day was a movie.
Yeah.
It's not real.
I'm just saying, Speaking of which, guys, don't forget to go see Independence Day Resurgence, starring Jeff Goldblum.
Or don't.
And
we're not sponsored. We don't got to say nice things.
yes, we are. You didn't. They paid us $50,000 to say this.
Yeah, right. No.
To all 12 million subscribers.
Not even viewer number 3 would believe that.
But what about viewer number 4?
There is no viewer number 4.
Well, I know.
You checked our subscriber count?
I know.
I think Adam's viewer number 2. I've had a sneaking suspicion for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
I am.
You're probably viewer number 1.
I am.
You argue a lot.
We argue. How do we argue a lot?
In the comment section.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding, we don't get comments.
I know.
And no, before viewer number 3 says, wait, I'm not Todd. Yeah, you're not. Viewer number 3's not me, because I don't watch our videos.
Which is so weird to me.
I do it to annoy Nick. Same reason I don't watch Game of Thrones yet. I play
That really. One day I'm going to have a freaking spoiler cast and I'm going to spoil everything for him and he's going to have to deal with it because he's too lazy to go and actually watch the show.
Actually, I don't have to deal with it. I can just leave.
You will have at least something spoiled for you.
I've had plenty of things spoiled for me already through the internet.
What has been spoiled for you?
Oh, God. Specific instances.
The Red Wedding?
I've read through the Red Wedding. That was at the end
The
of
Red Wedding.
I have a speech impediment.
I know.
So that's in the 3rd book, Nick. I know that. That's not spoilers. I know that...
The Black Wedding.
I know that... Is that the one with Joffrey?
No, that's the Purple Wedding.
The Black Wedding's the one I haven't seen. It's not been spoiled yet. But I do know...
You want me to spoil it for you?
No. I do know that Jon Snow at one point is presumed dead.
Presumed dead or is actually dead?
I believe he is still alive from most recent spoilers I've heard. At least they're still talking about him as if he's alive. That would be one heck of a spoiler shield to talk about someone as if they're still alive a few episodes later. I know that Tyrion has met Daenerys at some point.
You're spoiling this off for Adam.
I'm not going into specific details.
You're spoiling major plot points.
Is that a major plot point, really?
Yeah!
2 characters meeting?
Yeah!
I don't really view that as major.
Who's Tyrion again?
Tyrion.
Oh, Tyrion.
You shouldn't have said anything. He's like, I don't know, Tyrion is some minor character. That...
I was thinking Tyrell for a second.
And I saw a scene on the internet that was dubbed over with Overwatch jokes for play of the game of Jon Snow killing a bunch of people on the battlefield. Now, that must be from a recent episode. That's it.
That's awesome.
He got like a triple kill. It was great.
Should also be someone named like Rorin. You know Rorin?
Rorin Oakenshield?
That's from Hobbit, I think.
Oh, yeah, it is from Hobbit. That's Thorin Oakenshield, yeah. I'm mixing up my fantasy.
Okay, just because you watched
Cycle.
them rap battle starring the 2 authors doesn't mean they're the same world.
I know.
It's Rorin from Inheritance Cycle, right?
Heck, I don't know. I saw those books today in my closet and I really
Aragorn's
thought about reading
cousin
them.
or whatever?
No, I thought that was Murtagh.
We should probably start a new conversation.
That was his brother.
No, that was his cousin.
Adam.
Rorin was his cousin.
You're not going to be here in
Murtagh
future episodes.
Was his brother raised by another mother.
Well, I think it's about time to end this episode anyway.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Since you'll be here for future episodes, I have a couple questions for you. Who would win in a physical fight between me and Nick?
The fact that you're having to think about this is kind of insulting.
Hilarious to me.
I'm going to have to go with Nick because he just walks faster.
Exactly. I would vote Nick too because I am very weak. I do not exercise.
I mean, in a walking race, I might actually struggle to keep up with him.
I believe that in a just world, I would weigh like 300 pounds and be very fat. But this is not a just
me
world.
too.
And I
You
have a
see how
very
much
good
I eat.
metabolism, and one day it's going to cut out, and I am going to be very, very wide soon.
Yeah.
But till then, okay, Adam, question number 2. Who would win in a fight? You or me and Nick together?
I would.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think so. I think you and I, Todd, could take it.
I do
Fist
not
fight,
think
no
so.
weapons allowed.
Yeah, I think you and I could take it.
I don't. He's got military training, Nick.
That's nothing these days.
I'm actually stronger than I let on. Like, hardly anyone sees how strong I really am.
Mine.
That's true. On accident. It's not
Adam
like he
has
did it
broken
on purpose.
Adam has broken my
That makes
toe.
it even
He
worse.
broke your toe. It's not like he
kicked
broke an
him.
arm.
I injured myself attacking him.
Yes.
How do you think we're
That's
going to win when I take myself out?
That's just a major defense mode, though. He's got like built-in armor.
Yes.
Though with weaponry in a 2v1, we would have the advantage. Weaponry gives us major advantage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be
give me
it for
swords and I'm good.
this episode of Shoal Creek Showdown. We're so happy to be doing this. We really the formality of our old behind the scenes podcast was kind of constraining what we could do creatively. So to just have this and just to talk with y'all is awesome. But in the meantime, guys,
Nick Knox.
bye.
Nick Knox. Nick Knox.